Welcome to the IFCA Journal Podcast. I'm your host, PJ Hedrington. I would like to welcome you and our wonderful guest, Jerod Burns. This is our Christmas edition. We're doing this over Christmas break. My family is in the house. Everyone is playing games or reading a book or doing something, and I am downstairs in the office doing something I love, which is talk football with one of my good friends, a guy that I've known for a long time. Here's his bio. Was a former assistant coach under Hall of Fame coach Brian Wilkin. Was the head coach at BGM for 21 years, 7-time district coach of the year, 1-time regional coach of the year. He was in the state finals in 12. He was in the finals versus West Lyon. We don't talk about that, but that was and he's been in the state playoffs a total of 18 times. My good friend and a legend in my eyes, and also a hell of a handyman, by the way, Jerod Burns. Welcome, buddy. How you doing,
Thanks for
man?
having me, PJ. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
You're
Happy
welcome.
holidays.
Happy holidays to you. And I also want to put in a plug too. This year I got to be, I don't even know what my title was, is just show up whenever you want to show up. And I got to be there and just actually learn a lot and watch how you ran things. And I just appreciate you letting me be a sponge and learn from you. I really do.
I appreciate you coming. The kids loved having you. And of course I did too.
Yeah, well, that's I would hope so. All right, so we're gonna get going with these questions, okay? What's your coaching philosophy?
I mean, you said not to give a generic coaching answer, but I mean, for real, I just want to put out great dudes. When they graduate and they come and come from my program and are on the real world, I want them ready to be accountable, ready to work hard, and ready to have some discipline in their lives. So that's always kind of been our philosophy is take pride in what you're doing, be committed, and do it with a lot of discipline. So we're trying to instill work ethic on a daily basis, and that's the biggest thing. Is I want these kids to have a great experience playing for me, and I want them to be better men when they leave than when they walked in. And that's pretty much the long and short of it.
Good, very true. Okay, I like that about you. What's your offensive philosophy, and how did you develop that philosophy?
I mean, it's been a work in progress. I wouldn't say that I've even got it nailed down yet. I mean, recently especially when we were playing an 8-man game, we moved to 8-man in 2020. And we were back in 11-man this year. And, the philosophy has kind of morphed over a lot of years here. At first, I think my philosophy was get the ball to our playmakers and let them make plays because our offensive line was always not great. When I used to speak at clinics and stuff, I talk a lot about like our bubble screen game. The reason that I committed to getting the ball to our athletes in space was because I walked into the auditorium one day and I saw 4 of my 5 offensive linemen in full dress rehearsing for the play. And there's nothing wrong with that, but those kids don't usually lend themselves to being super tough physical offensive linemen. So those are the cards that you're dealt, and so that's what we started with. We had some really good offensive lines in 12 and 13, and even like in 2010 and 11, we had some pretty good offensive lines, but lots of Kriegel blood in the Brooklyn area. So those kids don't usually turn into real big kids. We've got the corner on the 5'8", 165-pound market. So we're trying to figure out ways to let those kids be successful. And then as the years have gone on, we've kind of taken our best athlete and just got him the football. So we run the quarterback a lot. And it's been that way for probably about the last 7 years, 6 or 7 years, or I suppose, dating back to like Jace Knight. I had him and, back to 2016, he was a senior. So, and then, now most recently it was Noah Beck and then Jake Maurer and the last 3 years has been my son. So those guys are getting the bulk of the touches and my philosophy is just get those guys in space. If you are running the quarterback, you make the defense responsible for an extra gap. And in our experience, that's been, we obviously, we don't win all our games, but we've been tough to stop offensively for the most part. Run into some teams obviously have better dudes than us, but usually we have pretty good success on the offensive side of the football because of that philosophy, I think. So we're trying to score as many points as we can. We're trying to do it in a short amount of time.
Well, that's good. And then, what's funny is you run right into my next question, was how do you stay true to that philosophy? And it sounds like your base is, you're going to use your quarterback. But what are some other keys that you stand true to that philosophy?
Well, I mean, the big thing is development in the off season. We kind of pick our guy, and this next year or the next couple of years, it'll be maybe a couple different guys. We try and find our best athlete, like I said, and we just get that kid ready in the off season. We do a lot of stuff in the mornings with our kids and some exchange and routes and different stuff, and we do some stuff in the weight room. And our strength coach the last couple of years has been phenomenal at getting these kids ready to play. And so, we train these kids relentlessly in the offseason. If they know they're going to be the guy, we kind of get everybody else to buy into that. Our receivers, we preach with them all the time. We throw it a lot more than most people do. So they're going to get, on a good night, they're going to get 7, 8, 9, even 10 touches sometimes. But that means if our goal is to get 70 offensive snaps on the offensive side of the football, and that means that 60 times they're blocking. And so we sell that to them the entire offseason, and we train those guys for that role. And, same thing with our, we're empty almost every snap. Once in a while we put we call him our H-back. We put him in the backfield, but his job is to be blocking for the quarterback too. He's going to get 8, 10 touches a game, whether we throw it to him or hand it to him or whatever, but that means 60 times he's going to be blocking. So we find a guy that will buy into that philosophy, and he knows he's a glorified offensive lineman, and he's going to, touch it occasionally, but he's really got to buy into that for us if he wants to play in that spot. So I just think what we do in the off season with these kids, getting them ready to play, really gets them prepared mentally for what we're trying to do offensively.
Good. That's a good answer there too. All right, well, now we're going to get into that kind of meat and potatoes. Now, I mean, I know a couple of these answers because I got to be at practice and got to see how you structure things out and lay things out. So, I got this, but this is going to be for a lot of our other coaches across the state, and especially those guys that are interested in running some of the stuff that you run. The first thing I got to ask though is, you made that jump from 8-man to 11-man, okay? How was that jump for you? And did you adjust your philosophy and scheme? And how did you adjust your philosophy and scheme going from the 8-man game to the 11-man game?
I mean, we pretty much stayed true to it. We've been it's been 4 years now. I talked to Brian Sauser, and I kind of picked up on what he did over at Grinnell when he was there, when he signaled his plays in. And, one of our goals is to get the snap off at between 22 and 25 seconds left on the play clock. And that's really helped our kids just understand, how we like to move. It gets us in shape, and hopefully it wears defenses down over the course of the game. But we thought about going back to, so we kind of do a muddle. We kind of thought about going back to like a true huddle like we did before we went to the 8-man game. Our kids just didn't. It was almost foreign to them, and so they didn't really take to that much at all. So we just decided to continue to try to go fast. We tried to continue to, otherwise you got to run plays in or signal plays in anyway. So we just decided to stick with what we're doing. And so the transition from the 8-man to the 11-man game was pretty seamless for us. You obviously add a receiver and a couple offensive line, but, essentially our formations were the same. Our vernacular was the same. Our signals even stayed the same with the exception of a couple formations, and we had to add a motion signal in and that kind of thing. But we did what we kind of do what we do, and we did the same thing this year that we have done the last 4 or 5 years, and we had a really good year offensively doing that. So we try to stay true to what we do. I think it's important for the kids, if they're going to believe in what you're doing. You can't. I mean, you change it obviously based on what you've got for personnel, but you're not going to change the core system and the core beliefs and what you're trying to accomplish every year, because if you waver like that, then the kids are going to waver, and it's going to be tough to get that commitment out of them. And so we pretty much stayed true to what we've been doing probably about the last 5 years. We wanted to go fast. We want to score a lot of points. We want to do it, like I said, do it in a hurry. We try to get our snaps off by 22. And when it's going to be a little bit different this next fall, but when you've got a kid that's spent 3 years taking the snaps, it's a lot easier to do that. When he's out there directing traffic and kids are all on the same page. And like you said, you were at practice, you saw us practice, so we go really fast in practice, and we get them ready for that. And like I said, it was kind of a seamless transition from 8-man to 11.
Yeah. All right. So I know this about you, but why do you use RPOs in your system?
I mean, it just gives, if you got, especially with what we do with the quarterback, when you've got a kid that can think, as long as the game doesn't move too fast for him. But if you give him the option, to we try to anytime we do anything in our passing game, we get him out of the pocket or the ball's out of his hands right away. We don't do any 5-step drop stuff or 7-step drop stuff. Everything's either roll out pass or 3-step drop or 1-step drop. So we kind of take the decision making out. But when you've got an athlete like a Bo or a Jake Mauer or a Noah Beck or Jay Snyder, those kids that we've been having take the snaps, you definitely, you want to provide that freedom for them to, if they don't like what they see, to put their foot in the ground and take off running. And the scheme lends itself to that. So we base our scheme around our quarterback and the RPO is a huge part of that. All of our gap scheme, all of our rollout scheme is based on having that type of kid at quarterback, the kid that can run and throw it, and puts a ton of pressure on the defense. Obviously, if they got to defend both.
Right. Now, are you teaching your kids in your system to read outside backers, inside linebacker? Who are you teaching most of the time to read, or high safety? How are you? What do you? It depends on the front. What do you?
Yep.
What's your key?
Yes, we saw so much. We saw so much 3-4 this year. Our reads changed a little bit, but when we do our rollout package or sprint out package, reading the corner, so we're putting a ton of pressure on that kid. If he goes over the top, we're throwing it underneath. If he sits underneath, we're throwing over the top, and we're making that safety come across and make a play. But we changed that a little bit this year. Even like back when we were doing some 7-on-7 stuff, just because even when I was coaching the 11-man game, the only time that we ever saw that Tampa 2 was when we played West Line in the finals in 13. Everybody else was playing cover 3, and we saw a ton of cover 2 this year, and so it was a big adjustment. But yeah, we just went. So when we roll out and do our sprint out package, we read the corner to the safety, and it's a really easy read for them. When we do our 3-step drop, we read the outside linebacker.
Okay.
3-step drop, obviously 1-step drop, we don't read anything. We just get the ball out and throw the now. But yeah, so sprint out package, we're reading the corner to the safety if you have that Tampa 2 out there, and if we're doing our 3-step drop stuff, we're reading the outside linebacker.
Good. All right. So with that, with your RPOs, how do you consistently use your run game off of your RPOs?
Oh, it looks exactly the same. Our sprint out package and our we call it our mag package, or our sweep, quarterback sweep, looks exactly the same. Like if you were an outside linebacker trying to defend that, I don't know how you would be able to tell the difference,
Right.
other than
Okay.
the fact that our slot receiver's not. But I mean, we even toward the end of the season this year, because we were having so much success in our rollout package, and we started running. We started running like our mag with that X receiver leaking up the field, and we had a ton of success doing that, because then that corner's got to decide whether he wants to come up and stop the run when you got a running quarterback, or he wants to sit back. And I mean, so it's essentially, and we saw a ton of press coverage too over the course of the year, and so we were just running that kid off anyway, and he's just got to decide whether he's going to let that kid run on the field, or step up and tackle the quarterback, or whether he's going to cover somebody, and then that just takes a guy out of the scheme that we've got to block. So yeah, we make it look exactly the same. We're blocking down with our H back. We're pulling our play side guard. And the quarterback, obviously, if he likes what he sees, he'll take off running. If not, he can throw the ball over the top. We usually run a 10-yard out, 10 to 12-yard out, or 10 to 12-yard dig with our slot receiver, and he's got all those options. He can either run it or throw those two. And we even release our H back up the seam occasionally too, after he's done blocking, once we get the edge. A lot of different variations.
Good. Okay, are you more of a zone team or gap scheme team?
Definitely gap. Like I was telling you earlier, we had a decent sized offensive line this year, but generally our kids are pretty small. We can't run zone, and we're not coached. We don't have a coaching staff that could teach the zone either.
Right. Yep.
I know a little bit about it because I played in it for 4 years at BV, but there's no way that we could teach our kids how to zone block. So everything's gap, down block. I mean, we're pulling pin all the time.
Right. Yeah. Okay. What personnel grouping are you in? Are you 11, 12, 20 pers? What do you use? I mean, I know you use the H a lot of times, and you come back and you run inside zone stuff, split zone stuff. So what's your personnel grouping?
Like I said, I would say maybe 10. I mean, we're empty a lot. I mean, so we're zero. I mean, a ton. Especially this year with the kid that we had at H back, we split him out a bunch, like a lot more than I'd planned on. We were so athletic up front. We were undersized, but we were super athletic up front. We had 2 guards that could both run, and were great trappers. So our outside trap and inside trap game were great when we just got him out of there, because then, everybody knows that we like to throw tunnel screen and bubble screen, and, and we throw a ton of hitch and slant, all that kind of stuff. So they've got to play all that stuff. So they got to take that guy out of the box. So we were blocking a lot of 5-man boxes when we did that. So, I mean, like I said, it would just depend. We put him in the backfield sometimes, but most of the time when we hand it to him, he's on the wing. So, I mean, I would consider us zero pretty much all the time.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, good. 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 Okay. So now this is going to go into your structuring. Okay. And let's say I'm a young coach and I want to install your offense. Okay. So again, I know that I'm going to be a gap scheme guy. I'm going to RPO. I'm going to read high to low. What's your offense of practice schedule and planning like during the week?
So, just like practice structure, like what we do during the
Yeah. Yeah.
practice
Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
days and all
How
that
do you
stuff.
structure your yeah?
Okay. So on a game week, Monday's our film day. So we meet in the morning for like we call it mobility. So they come in and we stretch and we do some different stuff with our strength coach on Monday mornings. And Monday after school, we have a lift that we do, and then we watch film and condition install. That's all on Monday. We play JV games on Monday nights. So, and we didn't have a ton of kids playing both this year. So thankfully we had all of our varsity kids there, but those JV kids aren't even there for the install and the lift and stuff because they've got travel and all that. But yeah, so we do that on Monday. We grade film. We make the kids grade their own film. So we grade it as coaches on Sundays, and then we make them grade it on Mondays during the day, and then we grade 25 plays together after school, and then we go out and we do our install, scouting report install. That stuff happens on Monday. Tuesday is our offensive day because that's the day that we don't have to be out as early. Church night is Wednesday night in Brooklyn, so on Tuesdays we practice from 3:30 until 6:30 generally, and then lift after that. But that's our offensive day. An offensive day would be like your normal dynamic stretch warm up, and then we do tackling stations every day because we don't tackle bodies. We tackle wheels, so we feel like we've got to do that on a daily basis to make sure that our kids are getting those reps. So after that, we kind of have what we call our sumo drill, where the kids they have some fun with it. It's like we have a tug where they pull each other around and they push each other around and that kind of stuff. We do that. We always do special teams. I never used to do special teams or even had special teams as part of my practice plan until I coached with Wilkin at Newell Fonda. We never did special teams in high school, and like I wasn't part of special team stuff in college, other than maybe like I was on punt, I think. So we never really did that during I was never used to doing that during practice. And then when I went to Newell Fonda, he made it a huge emphasis and stressed how important special teams were. So we have two special teams each practice. So on Tuesdays, our offensive days, we'll do kick return and punt for our special. So we do kick return after our sumo drill. Then we go to our indies. We usually spend 10 minutes in indies, 7 to 10 minutes in indies, depending on how much install we have to do, technique wise. Then our quarterbacks and wide receivers and running backs go to Waterloos, just exchange, throw, run through our route tree, all that kind of stuff. And our linemen are doing their inside technique stuff. And then we go to Pat Skelly with the same group, and the linemen stay and work on scheme. So we're separate for that. And then we come together for team. Because of the way that we do our offense, I have between 80 and 90 plays. I usually have 100 scripted, but we try to get 80 to 90 plays done during TMO in that 35 to 45 minute segment. So we try to go really, really fast, as fast as we can. That's also when we practice PAT field goal. And then we'll do punt. We'll do punt after that. And then generally we don't condition because of how fast we try to go in team offense. So a lot of times conditioning or whatever will depend on how team offense goes, like what kind of tempo we have. We have good tempo. We don't condition. If we suck, then we'll do a little bit of reminding after that's over. Like I said, Wednesday's church night, so we've got to be done by 6. So we lift in the morning on Wednesday. And after our Tuesday practice, and the guys lift, and then we lift on Wednesday morning because we have church night. Our practice goes from 3:30 to 6 on Wednesdays, and it's a defensive day, so it'll be the same type of setup. I don't know if you need to know the whole thing, but I mean same type of setup as the offensive day with indies and sumo, and we do our kickoff and punt return on those days, and then we will
Well,
condition on Wednesdays.
and I just want to say for all you coaches that are listening to this, one of the things, and again, I coach at the college level, and I coach with Eric Link, who brought his offense from Gus Malzone to the college level, and you do a great job of this, Jerod, is the pace of your offense during that practice week is unreal because you've got one group going, and then you got the backup group going as well, and you're just moving. I mean, these coaches. When I say these guys are moving, these kids are moving, and if they're not meeting the standard, JB lets them know. So it's pretty impressive, and like I said, any coach out there that ever wants to know kind of his philosophy or why they're good on offense, I really think it starts with how he structures things out. So Jerod, hats off to you. It really is impressive.
Appreciate that. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, like you said, it's a huge deal. Like the kids need to know, and I feel like at BGM we're not really good at anything else. Like we have success in football, and our boys don't have success in anything else. We'll have flare ups where we're decent at basketball because we've got a stud, or we're decent at baseball. We were good at baseball when I coached, and we haven't been really good since, just because we had some studs when I coached, and we're just not really a baseball school, and our kids just they don't experience a bunch of success. And I think the reason that is because those other programs are not structured. The kids don't have expectations, and so I think that's a huge deal, especially if you don't have, if you're not like a West Lion or like a Wapsie Valley or a Iowa City Regina or somewhere like that. You're going to get dudes every single year, and you want to still compete. That has all got to be there. You've got to have stuff in place for these kids to have a gauge, like every single day. Like this is the expectation. This is what we're in. So and that stems into practice too. Like they've got to know exactly what's going on, and I think our kids really embrace that. They love the structure. They love knowing what's going on day to day, and they love knowing what's coming next. And even from a week to week standpoint, so like after our Wednesday practice and Thursday, we go down to the game field and we call it shine and polish, shine and punish. We go through everything. It's not a walkthrough. I mean, I don't want to call it a walkthrough. We are in shells, so we're not like going to the ground, but we go through all of our special teams. We go through our defense first, our offense, and then we end with special teams, and we practice our victory formation that night. And then we have something that we installed about 10 years ago. We do what are called accountability cards or commitment cards, and we have accountability teams. And so the kids, they have 4 things that they've got to do during the course of the week that are on top of the expectations that they've got from me. So stuff that they do that, a lot of kids will do extra reps in the weight room, or they'll do extra stuff on the practice field or whatever before or after practice. And it's just stuff that they do that's outside of their normal scope of football related stuff that I expect from them. And so on Thursdays after practice, we stand up there and I have the accountability leaders read off the kids' commitment cards and what they did, and kids stand up and we applaud for them, and just we make a big deal out of that, because I think that's really important that they get a notice for that, and they get held accountable for that. And then obviously game day is Friday, and we have some team meals that we do. I think that's also very important, but we have a team meal that we do on Thursday night that the parents organize, and then another meal on Friday morning that the parents organize before school. And it's been awesome that we have the community support to do that. That takes a lot of work, so you'd have to have some really, really good parents, and we've got some of those. So.
Good. Well, I'm running down on time. We've only got about 4 minutes. So, and my last question. Well, you're doing great. Like I said, it's just talking ball. Yeah. And so my last question is okay. If I'm listening to listening to this podcast and all things, how do I contact you?
However, you can. I mean, I wouldn't mind giving my cell phone number. I don't know if that's kosher or not, but you can contact me through email, cell phone, whatever. It's jburns at brooklyn.k12.ia.us, or my cell is 712-249-6161. Coaches are the biggest plagiarists that there are. Nobody's got something they didn't steal from somebody else, right? I mean,
Facts,
and I'm
100%.
right, and I'm not any different than anybody else. So all this stuff I got from the guys that I have worked with or have talked to. I got a ton of my stuff obviously from Brian, and a ton of it from Salzer a couple years ago. And then I am always picking your brain or Patterson's brain, or that's the best way to, especially young coaches, to just kind of develop something that works for you. Just, try it out and see if it works. And if it doesn't, scrap it and talk to somebody else and try and get something new. That's about the only way you can even make a living doing this.
Yeah. All right, so here's my personal, because you and I have been friends for a long time, and you've done a lot of work with me for the IFCA Journal. You've done articles for me. How does it feel being on your first ever podcast instead of writing a journal?
Well, it's kind of like I want to say like a rich man's version of my conversations with Chris Varney before they closed down KGRN. Same type of thing. You're a lot more fun to talk to, but same type of questions. And yeah, no, it's good. It's fun. I appreciate you having me on, and hopefully I gave you something decent.
Hey, again, man, I appreciate you more than what you would ever known, and you're a true friend in the profession. And again, I thank you for your time, and thank you to our listeners for listening to you. And again, I know I've got something out of it. I don't know if any other coaches did, but I know I did. Again, Jerod, Merry Christmas to you and your family, and I appreciate you sharing.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. Merry Christmas to you too.